center. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Veronica Drake. I'm with Mixed Behavioral Health out of San Antonio, and it is my honor to present our next speaker, Ms. Virginia Valenzuela. She's the Director of Community Outreach and Spirituality with mmlearn.org, a program of Morningside Ministries. She's the speaker, trainer for mmlearn, that's a tongue twister, doing outreach to caregivers of older adults through workshops, conferences, and support groups with special interest in spiritual and development of aging. So everybody join me in welcoming her for the next presentation.
Thank you, Veronica. And thank you all so much. You know, when I got invited to come to Uvalde and talk about caregiving, how could I say no? First of all, I love Uvalde. I've got some wonderful friends here. And we had a center here not too long ago and really enjoyed my trips here to Uvalde, so I really enjoyed coming to Uvalde. And talking about caregiving. So I'm going to ask you to help me though. I'm going to ask you for just what was it Dr. Moreno said about nanoseconds or something? But this will be a little more than nanoseconds. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, but wait a second, don't do it just yet. To close your eyes and do a couple of things for me. I want you to think of putting yourself in the shoes of a caregiver. Now, many of you here are probably caregivers, or have been caregivers, or will be caregivers. So for just a few seconds, I want you to put your shoes on, put the shoes on of a caregiver. Close your eyes, and then, while you've got your eyes closed, look at a door. Imagine a door in front of you with a doorknob. So go ahead and do that. Just close your eyes for a few seconds. Imagine that door with the doorknob that you're about to open. But before you do that, say you're home, you just woke up, you are getting ready for work. You may be getting ready to get your kids ready for school. You're starting your day. But before you do that, you also, as a caregiver, have to think about what you're going to face when you open that door to take care of that person that you're in charge of, that you're caring for. Could be a spouse, could be a parent, could be your mom or dad, could be a friend, a neighbor. So before you start your day, you've got to go off and make sure. So you've gone over there, and just as you put your hand on that doorknob, think about it. What is behind that door? What are you going to face that day? Did they have a good night? Were they stressed? Do they have enough to eat in the house? Did they take all their meds? Do they remember who they are? Will they remember who you are? Okay, open your eyes. So if you felt even that little bit of stress, Dr. Moreno talked about all the stresses that we're under. Not necessarily as caregivers, just as people. So if you're a caregiver, if you felt even that little bit of stress, just thinking about it, imagine what a caregiver goes through every single day, every moment of their lives, thinking about that person that they're caring for. So who is a caregiver? Anyone who provides care and assistance to individuals who need assistance with daily living, with anything from cooking, bathing, dressing, taking medications, preparing meals, you name it, it runs a gambit. You could also be helping financially, providing not only time, but money, and perhaps they live with you. Perhaps it's someone that needs help and is living with you. And you've probably heard this, but former First Lady Rosalind Carter said this: there are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who are caregivers, those who were caregivers, and those who will be caregivers, and of course, those, like all of us probably, who will at some point in our lives need the help from a caregiver. And we've heard this over and over and over again about the baby boomers, right? You watch TV, you open the internet, you hear about the onslaught of baby boomers. They're all coming. There's no stopping them. And you know, with the rapid increase, there's no telling. You know, we're going to keep on going because we're getting better health care, we're living longer. So, of course, and there's never going to be enough nursing homes or places for people that people won't need a caregiver at home. And for families in the midst of caregiving for an older adult, there's a deep worry not only about the quality of care, but not only the quality of care, but the quality of life. You know, we often hear that. It's the quality of life that we're concerned about. We may be living longer, but what kind of life is it? We all want quality of life. And families don't know who to call or where to go to get the right kind of help at the right time, and help that is affordable. And you know, I can talk about that. And just this last week, just this week alone, I got a call 2 days ago from my brother who cares for our 92-year-old mother. And thank God Mom is in great shape. She tries to do everything she did 20 years ago and says that she can do it. So she was outside raking the leaves. She fell, broke her nose. And she fell, that wasn't the first time she's fallen. She's fallen several times. And she's got good bones because, you know, she survives and she hasn't broken a hip. We keep telling her, Mom, you're going to break a hip and that's going to be it. But, you know, she's 92 and going strong. Yes, I worry about her. So, you know, I work full time and I go and see her as often as I can. And yeah, it's stressful just knowing, is she really okay? I also have a coworker, again, just this past week. She has a 95-year-old mother who's in the nursing home. And she's been hospitalized lately, she isn't eating right. And so after work, she runs to see her mother at the nursing home. And she comes back, oftentimes she goes during lunch to drop in on her to see how she's doing. Even though they may be in the nursing home and you think, well, they're being taken care of. You know, we still worry, we still stress about them. So families need the skills and the knowledge to be able to know where to go and how to get this kind of help. And if you're a caregiver, there are more than 50 million people who provide care for a chronically ill or disabled or, you know, older adult. Or a friend. It could be a friend that may have no family, but you feel like, you know, you really need to help them out. The typical family caregiver is a 46-year-old woman caring for her widowed mother who does not live with her. She is married and employed. Approximately 70% of family caregivers are women. And I say typical because on the rise are male caregivers. As I just mentioned, my brother cares for my mother full-time. And so, again, that whole range is growing. 1.4 million children ages 8 to 18 provide some kind of care for an adult relative, with 72% caring for a parent or grandparent. Unfortunately, they're not the sole caregivers. But that, again, is another percentage on the rise of younger people taking care of older adults. And 30% of family caregivers caring for seniors are themselves age 65 or over. And another 15% are between the ages of 45 and 54. Now we talk about the economics of caregiving, and this is a 2000 resource, but a typical working family caregiver lost $109 per day in wages and health benefits due to the need to provide care for an aging adult. Many times caregivers need to leave their jobs in order to provide full-time care. And again, imagine not only losing the benefits from that, But then after the caregiving is over, the ability to have to go back to work when they've lost all that experience and that time on the job, you know, it's not easy to go back and resume your life again. So women who are family caregivers are 2.5 times more likely than non-caregivers to live in poverty, and 5 times more likely to receive SSI. So again, the economics of it are tremendous for caregivers. And another quote in this one from former Vice President Al Gore: "A health problem facing a loved one may be contained in the body of that one person, but as we all know, it affects the entire family." Just as we were talking earlier, it affects everyone in the family, not just that one caregiver, as in the sandwich generation that you'll hear a little bit about more. The whole idea that everyone's affected by the aspect of caregiving. And family caregivers who provide care 36 or more hours weekly are more likely than non-caregivers to experience symptoms of depression or anxiety. As Jenny Funk said earlier, statistics have shown that many times the caregiver is sometimes more likely to die before the person they're caring for. And why is that? The stress, exactly, the stress. And also, they have a tendency not to take care of themselves, right? They miss their doctor's appointments because they're taking their loved one or the one they're caring for to make sure they get it. So they're catching all of that. And again,
Sorry.
no, it's okay, go ahead. And this from the National Family Caregivers Association. When people, when we're caring for the caregiver, that's what I wanted to say. How often do we hear, as a caregiver, you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself first. Well, that's easier said than done, isn't it? How do you do that? Many times, as a caregiver, people offer help. People maybe mean it or not, or just to say it, but if they offer help, take it. What happens with a lot of caregivers is that they feel so responsible. They often feel, well, I'm the only one that knows what mom likes, or mom only listens to me, or I know what she likes to eat, and so I'm the one that needs to take care of her. Well, you know what? Someone else can do that as well. So allow yourself to accept the help from others. Engage your neighbors, engage anyone that is willing to do that, and help them. Show them what they need to do. They'll learn. And choose to take charge of your life, and don't let your loved one's illness take over or take center stage. You're important too, so you need to take care of yourself. You grieve for your losses. And by losses, I mean, yeah, there's going to be losses. There's going to be losses of your freedom because, you know, you're spending all your time caregiving. There's going to be losses of your social life, perhaps. Many different losses, but it's not going to be forever. So dream your dreams. Hold on to your dreams as a caregiver. You need to have those dreams because if not, again, what does that cause? The depression, the hopelessness, the helplessness. Well, I can't do anything. You don't see the end. You don't see the light at the end, right? And there is a light. There is a light. And there's a difference between caring and doing. Be open to technologies and ideas that promote your loved one's independence. There's lots of new ideas. We're creating a new webcast at MMLearn that talks about all these new technologies that are out there that can help make life a little easier for you and your loved one. Trust your instincts. Most of the time they'll lead you in the right direction. So true. Sometimes you feel like, how can I do this? Can I not? Yeah. Go with your instincts. And seek support from other caregivers. You know, I heard that in the previous 2 presentations about support groups. And I commend Olga for, you know, creating one because I think that's where you don't feel so isolated. When you can talk to other people, whether you gather in a physical group, whether you go online for a support group, having support from others who are going through the same thing you're going through will help, because you don't feel like you're alone in this. You're not the only one dealing with it. And many times that other person may suggest or say something that you never thought of before, that you could do, that you could say. You know, how are you dealing? As we learned earlier, that every person with Alzheimer's reacts differently to the disease, right? So you don't know, but perhaps someone else has dealt with something similar and they can help you. So there's great strength in numbers, there really is. And information is empowering. The more you know about the disease, the less fear you have, the less afraid you are of it. You can tackle it. You can understand it. And so that leads me right into the next one, and which is mmlearn.org. We provide over 300 free videos for caregivers of older adults. And I think it was Jen Funk that mentioned Dr. Wise. We've got several of his videos on our website. And again, this free resource was created just for the caregivers to provide support, education, knowledge, to be able to help you when you needed it. Say it was 3 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't sleep and you couldn't figure out what was going on, but you can't get to sleep. Go to mmlearn, watch one of those videos, and at least maybe it'll help ease you somewhat. We've got prayers on there, prayers for caregivers. We've got everything from the scoop on poop to one of the ones that is really popular, and I think it's Dr. Wise that does it. It's on hoarding and the elderly, which is a huge phenomenon. Hoarding and the elderly. So again, wonderful, wonderful videos. And to show some of that, I couldn't do this presentation without really showing you one of our videos. So right now we're going to show you a portion of the video. It's a long video, but I'm showing you about half of it or so. And it's a video on dementia and caregiving. And it's done by one of the geriatricians that does several of our videos. Her name is Dr. Liliana Oaks, and she's from Colombia, so a little bit of the accent there, but she's fabulous. She's also very spiritual. We just had her do a video for us on the healing aspect.
Good morning and welcome
okay.
to MM.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. That one of the videos that she does is talking about the perspective of the importance of spirituality and medicine, and how important it is to bring the two together. So we don't have that out yet, but that will be coming out later this year. But in the meantime, she's talking about caregiver stress related to dementia, and I want you to listen carefully. Joe, thank you for the lights, and he promised to bring out candles and wine a little later. So.
The journey of being a family member, taking care of somebody with dementia. What I wanted to start with is understanding why we're spending this time together. And it's no news to you to know that dementia is a disorder that is really tragic. And it's tragic because we think that in dementia we lose them twice. One time when they are changing so much in their process and they disappear, who they are, their personality, their ability to communicate. And the second time we lose them when they die finally from this disease or another complication. So we need to remember that it's a very tragic disease, and it consumes a lot of resources, not only in the healthcare system, but emotionally. It drains the person caring for them and their family. Most people survive between 6 to 8 years. That's what we call an average, meaning the majority of people from point of diagnosis to when they die, if they die from the disease, will live with this disease close to 10 years. I have known personal families that have walked this journey for 20 years. And there are other type of dementias that can unfortunately end the life of a person sooner, like frontotemporal dementias, where usually these patients last only 2 years. So again, it can become a long journey. It's not a little short run, it's a marathon. And when people that run or exercise, or you see the marathon runners, you need to prepare for the journey. Caregiving is usually experienced as a rewarding experience, despite of the stress and burden. And I think that that's very important for caregivers to know that despite of the challenges that happen, there is a sense of rewarding that we are doing what is the right thing to do. Even though we understand that sometimes as a duty, many of the caregivers will say, well, if I needed to do it, I will do it again because they were my parents, or this is my spouse, or even children. Some early dementias, we find parents taking care of younger children that are in their 50s that develop this horrendous disease. There are a lot of challenges, and the challenges are related with what I already mentioned, the losses and the accumulation of changes. And because the disease we will review today has many stages, and they change over time, and the caregivers and the family need to adapt to those changes, it's very challenging. We see a lot of in our families that what they were able to do in the earliest stages and try to maintain the dignity and the person involved in activities, suddenly with the decline in the disease, they cannot do it anymore, and that produces stress and anxiety in the family and the caregivers. The other key point is we're going to be reviewing today the amount of the skills that are needed to take care with somebody with dementia. And I hear my caregiver saying, Dr. Oaks, I love my mom, but love is not enough. Part of what we wanted to do with the series and Morningside Ministries and mmlearn.org is that you get equipped with important toolbox of strategies, ideas, and having work with other caregivers can empower you to have different strategies, because this long process and disease is going to require that you use different ones in different stages. So you can love your loved one with dementia, but if you are not equipped, you are not going to be able to take care of yourself and provide the best care for your loved one. So let us talk a little bit about the impact in caregiving. 80% of the care to older people with dementia are done by family. And what that means is that there is what we call informal caregiving, meaning it's unpaid, and it's costing between $150 to $175 billion per year. So there is a lot of situations where maybe you are hearing today, or you are watching this production and saying, wow, I didn't realize this is so expensive, and everybody does it, but the impact economically in the system is huge. So the experiences of the caregivers are, I was listed in the slide, a variety of emotion. There is a sense of loss, emotional stress. There is much more healthcare problems in the caregivers. We know that up to 60% to 80% of caregivers at some point can develop anxiety, depression. Have you been there? Think about yourself. How are you feeling so many times when you needed to quit your job? Probably because nobody else could care of mom or dad or your sibling or a child with this disease, and then there is less income, and maybe with the economy, many children are coming back home, and then now you have an extended family that you didn't expect. So there is a lot of adjustments around this disease due to multiple reasons. There are decreased work hours, the lower wages. We, in my office, I sign a lot of family leave paperwork related with, well, mom is now getting sicker, she has dementia, I need to take her to the doctor, or they get hospitalized, I need to go to the hospital or the nursing home, and then suddenly they cannot work. So the impact economically is related with all of these issues. There is also loss of full-time work and the benefits including with that. So many caregivers are really stressed out because the economics of caring with somebody with dementia. And I think the point here is, now that we're transforming our health care, we need to look about ways to improve and support caregivers and find some common sense in how we're going to be economically taking care of each other, because the challenges are going to increase, not decrease. What are the benefits of having the family involved in the care of somebody with dementia? Definitely, we see that when families are involved in a patient with dementia, they don't end up in a nursing home. They stay longer in the house, especially when you have more children participating in the care or other providers or caregivers. And we're talking about caregiver as anyone that is providing direct personal care to somebody with dementia. So not necessarily I'm talking today about you as a Connect Blood family member, but it could be a provider paid by the state. It could be a provider that you are paying through a community-based organization to provide care. So caregiver it's a big word. So I'm talking today about you. If you are not related by blood with this person, but you are providing bathing, changing, helping them the appointments, staying with them at home, even doing house chores. If you are paid by doing that, you are under the category of a caregiver. I wanted to clarify also that even though families are wonderful and it's the best scenario to care for older adults, sometimes it does not prevent to end up in a nursing home. And this is very important, especially for minority groups. We will do the same broadcast in Spanish later on that will be available for you. If you have family members or somebody that needs Spanish to talk about this issue, I will be doing it later on. But sometimes we have a lot of guilty feelings. I don't want mom or dad to be at the nursing home. I make the promise. Today I wanted that you reflect a little bit about try to stay away from promises. Do your best. I know in my heart as a physician, when I encounter families, everybody loves mom or dad, everybody wants them to stay home. But there are circumstances that are you cannot foresee them, and will make you make decisions to place them because it's the right thing to do. A family with multiple little children or teenagers and children, a lot of economic issues at home, the elderly person with dementia is fighting a lot, is very confused, there is no peace in the house. This family maybe need to look at an option to place them in the best nursing home they can afford, or they can place their loved one. So promises, think about yourself. Where are you in that journey? And especially Latino community, we really tend to make a lot of promises that later on backfire to us, and the guilty feeling that we need to work together, and the physician in collaboration sometimes with psychologists is in a huge impact. So again, family is the ideal scenario for this multi-generational family that we wanted to encourage to have, because we find that there is a lot of benefits to having patients with dementia around their family and other children in different stages. But placement sometimes is the best thing to do. So I tell my families, never say never, because maybe you will need to walk through that journey at some point. I also wanted to tell you that even though if you place also your loved one, the stress doesn't go away. It just has a different face. It's like a cube. So the stress just changes the color. When we have one of those cubes that you change colors and organize, it just has a different face to it. And caregivers have a lot of stress and guilt feelings related with placement. And part of what we need to do is, it takes a whole village to work around those issues and to make you feel better, and you can continue being involved even though they are in the nursing home and trying to work things through that. So who makes up the caregivers? I know today we're going to be seeing men and women watching this broadcast, and what I wanted to tell you is 50 to 75% are women. Usually are related, they are the spouses, the daughters-in-law that have the most care one-to-one. But don't look in the other 30 to 40% that are also men. And we see more and more that men are becoming more caregivers. And that is wonderful, but it also poses some challenges, especially when the sons are the ones caring for their mom. And there is a lot of issues about privacy, intimacy, and the care of personal care that is very challenging when you are the son and you are dealing with the female needs of a spouse, or you are dealing with the intimacy or personal care of your mom. So we need to balance those issues, and you need to be equipped, and you need to surround yourself by other resources that can help you to address these issues that are real and vital in the care of that loved one. The majority of the caregivers usually are married, they are employed outside the home, and they are caring usually for both parents and their own children. That's what you hear very often called the sandwich generation. You're raising your children and you're taking care of your parents, and more we're seeing that in the world. This is not a problem only for the United States. Aging population is changing the statistics around the world, and more these issues are common all over the planet. So what I was mentioning before is I wanted to make sure that we understand this as caregivers. We're going to be facing our own challenges in terms of healthcare problems. The fact that we're going to be caring for somebody with dementia is going to put you in a high risk of depression and anxiety. 6 times higher than a person that is your same age, your same sex, maybe same socioeconomic status, but they don't care for somebody with dementia. So you need to be in the guard. You need to be aware that you maybe are going to develop these symptoms, and don't dismiss them or disregard them, which is what I wanted that you pause for a second today and see. Do you find yourself fighting for little things? Are you lacking sleep? Do you wake up at night thinking and ruminating thoughts, thinking over and over about worry stuff? Do you don't want it to go out? Are you withdrawing your hobbies? You are not enjoying things that you used to enjoy before. You just don't care. Is your energy level very low? If any of those are yes, and you today, right now, you are thinking, wow, I have a lot of those, you are developing some component of depression and anxiety. And I understand, especially, again, many minority groups, you don't want it to recognize that. You feel it's a stigma. I'm caring for my mom, so why I'm feeling depressed? I should be very happy. It's normal to develop these feelings because your role has changed. You didn't expect that this happened. You probably thought, mom and dad raised me, and now I am becoming the parent. I am the one doing the care. And you feel it's unjust. All of those thoughts are normal part of your process of thinking and readjusting. So what I'm inviting you today is be aware that if you are developing these symptoms, this is part of the normal process of the caregiving, and we're going to talk later, we need to address them. You need to talk them out, and you need to seek for medical help. Sometimes we just need to talk about it. We need a support group. Sometimes we need to rethink how we are managing our anger and getting equipped to deal with that. But sometimes we need medication. And today, from the bottom of my heart, medications are okay when they are needed. You shouldn't be afraid of opening your and expand your mind to know that if that's what you need to go and partner with your physician, and that will make you a better caregiver and a better partner, a better spouse, maybe you need to be on those. You also as a caregiver need to know that physically, due to the high levels of chemicals that we call adrenaline in your stress, you're going to be a higher risk for heart problems. Usually double than in people that are counterparts that don't care for people with dementia. Especially those cardiovascular risk factors are related with how long you are providing caregiving. So if you do caregiving over 9 hours a day, you are going to be flying constantly in high levels of anxiety, and that will affect your heart. Which reminds us that we are not only physical well-beings, we have our spiritual realm, we have our mind, our emotions, we have our relationships, and we cannot separate. And in this culture, unfortunately, we tend to fragment who we are. Here is what I do at home. These are my feelings. These are my emotions, my spirituality. Today, I wanted that we think that we are completely in a balance, and when one of those areas is out of balance, you are going to develop more anxiety, more depression, more anger. So how we recognize where we're feeling dry. So imagine a full glass, and unless a glass is full that can give and the water comes out of the glass, and you are feeling very dry and empty, you're not going to be able to give peace, love, caring, compassion when you yourself are feeling you're not getting any of those. So maybe you need to fill your cup in your spirituality, in your own sense of who you are, in your sense of well-being, your sense of what I'm doing here, your purpose, your relationship with God, with a transcendent being, with your sense of your value as a person. Maybe you need more time and your glass is empty because you have left behind everything you enjoy. So you need to work in that cup and how to provide, and we later on are going to talk about a few strategies to address that. Another major problem that I see is the caregivers don't go and get their preventive health. They don't get their immunizations, they don't get their screening tests, and that's a challenge because when we don't prevent, then we go to the disease process and it can be too late. So I see people that said, doctor, this is my first visit, I'm 75 years old, my mom just died at the age of 95, and I haven't been in the doctor for 5 years. That is something that I know is in the back of her mind. I'm feeling well, so I will do it tomorrow, versus being proactive, which is one of the pearls today. Let us be proactive. Take care of those vaccinations. Be sure you are getting your health maintenance. Be sure you are talking regularly with your doctor. Your cholesterol is under control. That you are not having tiredness because maybe you didn't check your thyroid disease and you are exhausted, not only for the caregiving piece, but maybe you are sick. Maybe you have something physically that maybe you are developing, God forbid, but the beginning of a cancer or a disease that is in the autoimmune system or immunological system. So we need to go to the doctor, and we see that. Caregivers usually are mom first, dad first, or my spouse first, and they neglect themselves. There is an increased use of acute medical services. So you work based on emergencies. So you only go when you are very sick with your allergies, or you only go if you have severe back pain, you take the pill, you get better. The mode isn't to fix and put a little bit of a cover in a major problem. So again, all of those things is, if you read today those of health consequences, and today you're thinking, wow, I'm at risk of getting worse, maybe it's time that you start taking notes today, parallel in your papers, and said, maybe I need to see the doctor. Have you seen the doctor at least once a year? If the answer is no, maybe that's one thing that you can do today. Pick up the phone after today and go and visit the doctor and get your annual check. Ask a neighbor, the church friends, or somebody, a family member, to care for your loved one while you invest a couple of hours in yourself, just to avoid the bad consequences of in your health of caregiving. So those are the health problems. Look at the emotional. It's a very special kind of loss because one of the biggest things is when your loved one has been in this disease for so long and then they don't remember your name. That's one of the most difficult and painful things you can experience as a caregiver, when your spouse confuses you as the wife with the daughter, or the daughter with the spouse, or they don't know who you are. They smile at you, but they don't know who you are. It's a very slow, it's a degenerative disease, so the amount of loss that is involved in caregiving is huge. A lot of fears of the future. What I'm going to do if, what happened when this happened? What if here? What if there? There is a lot of social isolation. Well, I cannot go and play bridge anymore because I need to take care of him. Or I cannot go to the doctor. I cannot visit with my friends. We don't go anymore traveling. I hear a lot of, we don't go anymore to the family reunion. This is my last trip. This is my There is a lot of changes in social isolation, and if you happen to have a loved one that has very difficult behaviors, like screaming, yelling, anxiety, they chatter you everywhere, those behaviors can be very difficult to handle in public. So the caregiver decided to just keep them at home, and imagine how you feel. Your sense of who you are and what you did is now confined to your home. So we reviewed that. We draw from friends, activities, and a stigma. Oh, well, we're not going to invite them. You know, bless her heart, she's dealing with the spouse. Let us don't do any more birthdays, or let us don't invite her for these events. So it's hard to handle those, and in the Latino community remain a big stigma to be diagnosed with dementia because it's misunderstood as a mental illness. While dementia is an organic disease, it's something that damages your brain. The same way that the heart gets damaged with heart failure or the kidneys shut down, dementia is a disease, it's not a mental illness. It destroys your ability to function. So I want that you think about also the challenges with your own family or your family members. Think about, have you had any problems with your siblings or family members or relatives about caring for your loved one? Think about that for a second. In my practice, sometimes I hear, I saw a lady that is 80 years old, have long-term consumption of alcohol, develop a complex mix of dementias, and she's now bedbound, wheelchair-bound. The family came one daughter, and she said, I have 12 more siblings. And my siblings don't understand what's wrong with my mom. They're going to think that she's going to get up tomorrow and you are going to prescribe a medication and she's going to be fine. How am I going to handle my 12 siblings? Are you in that category? Or the opposite, you don't have a lot of support. You have a large family, but everybody's very busy. They call very random, and you're by yourself making decisions. Or you have an angry family where somebody disappeared for 20 years and now the little brother is showing up because mom has some assets or economic things that need to be handled, and he now wants to come and be the decision maker, and he never has been close to the family. Or you are in the gray category where the 4 siblings are in agreement, they help each other. The one that lives far away in another state supports with money because he cannot be here or she cannot be here, and you are blessed to have the economic resources, but now you are sharing the care with your other people. You have maybe a family, a church family that is wonderful, and the church members that grow with you for the past 25 years are now helping you. So good or bad, there is always challenges among the community and our own family members. So what we need to understand is this disease is a community disease, it's a family affair, it's everybody involved, and it impacts everyone. There are new roles, there are conflicting responsibilities. So you go to your mom, dad, or a loved one goes, they get hospitalized, and then the doctors are doing a family meeting with you and saying, she cannot be by herself anymore. And then all your life crumbles apart, and you're hearing, what I'm going to do? Who is going to care for mom? So do we have the resources? Or, oh no, she's fine, I think the doctors are wrong, right? The denial is coming. It can't be that bad. She was living by herself. I saw another dear patient came from out of town, San Antonio, and the nieces, she never married, have kids, brought her, and she was living 6 months ago with her frail husband, and it took one fall, she got pneumonia, got extremely confused, developed what we call delirium, which is an acute change in confusional stage, but nobody knew they were demented. And then she went to get rehabilitation, broke her hip because she was very agitated. And now in 6 months, their life has changed completely, not only for her, but for her husband and her niece and nephew. And we did the best that we could to talk about goals of care, what to expect, how to prepare. The adult children may often minimize the problems. What we were talking about, you know, if you're not very involved, you live far away, they sound really good in the phone. I wanted that you pay attention here. Many people with dementia sound really good in the phone. Sound really good when you are dealing with them for 5 minutes, but they cannot pay finances, they cannot drive anymore. So let us don't get fooled. I think part of what I want in this slide is the challenges are inviting your social support around, your family, friends, your community, to read about dementia, to talk about this disease. You can become an educator as a caregiver. Something that can give you a sense of accomplishment is educate others. And that's what we do in our businesses, equip the caregivers to go and educate their own family members and also bring them back to a family meeting if it's necessary with the physician so we can educate them. We will later on talk about the Alzheimer's Association in detail, locally, wherever you are, because they do a fabulous job helping you to navigate the challenges with your family members, with the person that is in denial, with the person that thinks that things are not that bad. They can help you as experts to navigate this journey so you are not alone today. And at the end, there are more resources to come. We talk about the long-distance caregivers. I have done at the hospital family meetings with 2 children in the East Coast, 1 in the West Coast, and 3 in the room. Because everybody needs to hear sometimes where we are, what to expect, and start making decisions, which is the hardest part. A lot of old issues in the past. I think that's something that we help families and we encourage to clean, navigate, and heal. Well, is my brother really never helped, or so-and-so was the abuser in the house, or that used to be street mom. It's the time to heal the spiritual component of the caregiver. Where many of the caregivers were severely abused by their parents and now they're caring for them. We need to talk about that. We need to equip you and help you to heal if you are going to be the caregiver. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable and you can provide poor care because you're unforgiveness. So again, I'm talking a lot about healing, not only physically, emotionally, but spiritually. There is a huge component that we cannot ignore in caregiving process. This slide is just to tell you how hard it is for a spouse. If you today are the husband or the wife of a person with dementia, there is a tremendous loss. People that have been married for 30, 40, 50 years. I have had people married for 68 years. I have had the blessing to be a physician and couple that have been together so long. And then suddenly, that person is not there, not the person that they married. It's a different person. It's a person that now, the changing the roles is requiring a lot of care. The person that used to take care of you or make you feel good now is behaving like a child and you are providing all the care. That's a big loss. And this is from L. Jones in Florida in Generations Alzheimer's, and it says for the ones in the teleconference that are not connected in the internet, I want my husband back. I need him more than ever now, but he's gone. I can go to him for advice. I can go to him for emotional support. He's just like a child.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, and if you want to watch more, go to mmlearn.org, and you can watch the rest of Dr. Oak's presentation. Now, she's really good. And as she mentioned earlier, she also does this presentation in Spanish, and it's available on mmlearn.org. I know I've just got a few more minutes. I wanted to let you know that because some folks maybe don't have access to internet or maybe aren't comfortable with a computer, we do have a limited number of DVDs, some of the videos, not this particular one today, but we do have several of the videos that are available on a DVD format. And I've got some with me today. And all I ask, because again, we all know about numbers and funders and how they want numbers. So if you fill out a short, very short survey form for me, I'll let you take a pic of those 3 different videos that I brought on DVD form. So you're very welcome to those and take them with you and enjoy and share them as well. One of them is Dr. Schillerstrom, that I know the Alzheimer's Association uses quite a bit also on dementia. And so you're welcome to those. Any questions? Anyone? Oh.
stress.
On care, everybody's stressed out, right? Yeah, I think so. Well, thank you so much for your kind attention, and I hope to see you out here.